We thought we'd use most of the time today to talk about the student survey, which our kids recently took just about 2-3 weeks ago, and the results of that. But before we get to that, we had some updates that we wanted to provide, and some folks submitted some questions that we wanted to go over too. So the buildings.
You gotta watch the last video.
We had
Watch the turkey hunt.
Yeah, so the buildings, there isn't a lot that we can say right now. As everybody knows, we've purchased the white building. We're in negotiations for the other two. Negotiations are ongoing. We have a crack team that's working very hard on that, and as soon as we can provide an update, we will be doing that.
Yeah, we know it's slow and it's frustrating for everyone, and everyone wants an update, and I guess we can tell you that so do we, but we don't have one yet. So, we're fine. Everything's business as usual. The buildings are fine. The heat is on. The kids are learning. It's business as usual, and we don't know what's going to happen on the other end, and I think that's okay. We'll take each day as it comes.
Right. Another update, the schedule for next year is on schedule. So the list of courses have been
they're
posted.
on the website.
They're on the website. So the list of courses for next year have been posted for 2019 to 2020. So over the next couple of weeks, we heartily encourage everybody to sit down with their kids, look at the schedule, look at the courses, classes, have conversations with them about what they would like to take, what they would need to take. And then when they come back after the break, that's when the course selection process will begin. The course selection process will go through January up until February 1st, and then on February 1st it'll be closed. So you have a couple weeks now to sit down, have some good fireside chats about courses for next year with your kids.
Yeah, and also the teachers will be talking to the students too. Some, one-on-one conversations, and some just general questions. General conversations with the classes. So in other words, if, say, your student is a 10th grade English honors student, that teacher may say, I'm assuming that all of you will either be going on to this AP, these are your options, this AP class or this honors level class. If there's any changes to that, I'll speak to you individually. So if there's a student who is struggling, who maybe the teacher recommends goes to a CP level, they'll have that conversation privately. Or a particular student that a teacher really feels that he or she wants to encourage to a particular AP class, they'll have that conversation, and those will be happening in December and the first few days that we get back from break. But it's going to be a little bit different this year, where last year the teachers put in their recommendations and then the kids then went in. This year the kids are going to get to make those choices. Just kind of like if they had a piece of paper in the old days, they'd have a piece of paper, they'd go to the teacher and say, I'd like to take this class, the teacher would sign off on it. So we're going to do it a little bit closer to that this year, so that the students will go in, they'll make their requests, and then the teachers will go in and say, yes, no, yes, 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 no, that kind of thing. So just a little bit flip there. But we think that in the end, we're doing it a little bit later this year because the teachers really need a full semester to get an idea of where the kids are and what levels they should be recommended for. Where last year it happened at the beginning of December, and the teachers really had only been with them for a few months. So we think this extra time is going to be important, because what was happening was a lot of the conversations were, well, okay, I'm going to recommend you for this class, but if you do really well between now and the end of the semester, we'll change it. And then that just changes all the requests in the system. So we're trying to streamline it a little bit. So that's where we are with that.
Excellent. And then just a quick note about a new honor society that is being formed. It is called the Eagle Society. It's just getting off the ground now. Two of our fantastic seniors, Nathan Lee and Robbie Coakley, had a great idea. The idea was to say that let's have a honor society that is based upon our core values. integrity, excellence, and community. It's not a grade-based society like the National Honor Society. It is a core value-based society. So if students demonstrate a commitment to our core values, they reflect our core values, they practice our core values, they embody our core values, they can be a part of the Eagle Society. Teachers would nominate students for that, and then the students, once nominated, would seek to reflect, carry out, pursue those values throughout the school. In particular, the kids who are in the Eagle Society work very closely with lower school students to help them, to encourage them, to support them. In some respects, kind of like Big Brother, Big Sister type of program. So the announcement letter for that went out to our staff yesterday, and when we get back from the break, Nathan and Broderick are going to come to our all-staff meeting and talk to the teachers about it, and then nominations will go start in January.
Yeah, they'll be nominating 10th and 11th graders. They're looking to keep it fairly small this year, since it's just going to be the last half of the year. So these are two seniors that came up with this idea and approached us about it. So they're thinking 10th and 11th grades at least to start it, probably 15 or 20, get it going for the 6 months, and then go through a whole new nominating cycle, actually late spring for next year with the next grade up. So we'll be adding to it. I think it's going to be awesome. And the fact that the kids, this is their idea. They've sat down, had multiple meetings with Anders and I, and they created the mission statement. They created the rubric around, the type of students that they want to see involved in this. And anyway, it's been a really great experience to work with them.
Absolutely. So those are the 3 agenda items that we had listed. Some folks wrote in some questions. There was one question about the capital campaign.
Yeah.
And interest in the capital campaign.
Yeah, I can give you some information on that. So we've hired a consultant, and his name is Rick Trafalgar-Perry.
I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, I know. I had it phonetically written out for the board meeting the other night. Anyway, he's been working with us once a week since September 17th, and he's a super guy with years and years and years of fundraising experience, and he's also has years of experience working with charter schools, so it's been super helpful. He really understands the charter school and how they work. So the thing is, so we've been working with him. He actually, if you're interested in hearing more about the work that he's done, you can watch the board video. I'm sure that Mike will have that up soon. And you can, towards the beginning, he has about a 15-minute presentation that he does, and he'll tell you, you can hear about all the things that he's done. He's talked to a number of families, and one of the things that he is working on, which if you're interested, please reach out and let us know, he's going to be putting a committee together of about 12 parents who want to get heavily involved in a development committee. And that would help us with different fundraising ideas, but also reaching out to fellow parents, fellow business area in the areas, asking for donations. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you feel comfortable doing that, please reach out to us and I can get you in touch with Rick. But so we're planning the capital campaign right now, but we won't kick that off until obviously the buildings are purchased. Right? It's not going to raise a bunch of money for buildings that we don't own yet, but we're going to have all the pieces in place so that as soon as that happens, we can start moving. The cost of renovating that white building is about somewhere between $3.6 and $4 million, and that would happen after the upgrade on the HVAC and all that. So, so the pieces are in place to move rapidly once the buildings are secured. And until that time, Rick will continue to work with us probably through January. Then we'll kind of see where we are with the plans going forward, and then get ready to pick things up once we have the building. So if you're interested in helping, let us know. And if you work for a company who might be interested in donating to charter schools and buildings, to let us know. On another side of things, this was, I guess, part of your board report, but not on the video. Yesterday, we had a visit from Thermo Fisher. We had the president of the materials business side of the company, one of the vice presidents of that area who came all the way from Holland, and a couple other folks. One, Mike Glass, who was a former board member here at AMSA, was on the board for 4 years, spent the morning with us yesterday, and that Thermo Fisher has gifted us a scanning electron microscope. And so it's an amazing, amazing gift. They are having it made for us. This thing is going to be brand new, and it's arriving in February. In February, we'll have a huge unveiling with the media, and the board members will all be here, and we'll be inviting the governor and lieutenant governor of the state. We will certainly be the only school in the country, perhaps in the world, that will have and own our own scanning electron microscope. So it really is going to just push our whole science program into the stratosphere of what our kids are going to be exposed to in our science program. And Dr. Giray has a million ideas of how we can implement this. And Thermo is going to help us write curriculum and really get our kids involved at all levels with this machine. So this was really a dream come true for us. It's a process we've been working on since July, and I think that it says a lot of things. I think that it means a great deal when a company like Thermo Fisher, which is a number 144 on the Fortune 500 company list, has deemed AMSA worthy, right? We spent a lot of time with them, a lot of conversations. They did a lot of research on the school, and what they came back was with, we really are impressed with what you're doing. We want to partner with you. It's really putting AMSA on the global level. That we will be taking videos of the kids, which will be put on the Thermo websites, which will be seen all over the world. And they really want to showcase the fact that this is the school that they are partnering with. They've chosen to partner with AMSA. And so we're very, very excited. So they came yesterday. They were in one of the research classes. They then went and made a presentation. We had about 125 students that were there for the presentation. And at the end of the presentation, one of the slides was a big gift box with a big bow on it. And then she announced to the kids that they were giving AMSA this microscope that she had been talking about. And she really did a great job. The kids all cheered. They were so excited, and afterwards some of them came scurrying up, and they wanted to know if the certain research projects that they were doing, was this going to help them? Were they going to be able to use it for this, that, and the other thing? And so they were really, really pleased. I got a nice email from Tricia last night saying how fun it was to be here with the kids. So that's a big, exciting piece of news, and you'll hear much more about it because we'll have a big to-do in February when the time comes.
All right, great. So there was one other question that was submitted about homework overload, which brings us to what we'll do for the rest of our time today. We're going to do something new in the history of family forums. We're going to put you guys to work. Have you guys collaborate and talk, and then share back out. Just to give you a little bit of background, so we're going to talk about the student survey that we gave to our kids about 2 weeks ago. Way back in August, several teachers raised some questions and some thoughts and some ideas about how at AMSA, how do we maintain, enhance the academic experience of our students? And that question of how we do that, how do we enrich, maintain our strong academic experience at AMSA, led to the formation of what we call the Academic Excellence Group, which is a group of teachers and administrators who really wanted to focus on that question. And we all have lots of different ideas about what our kids are experiencing, how we can improve the experience of our kids, how we can build the academic experience and whatnot. But we all agree that though we have lots of opinions, it'd be great to hear what the students have to say. let's find out from the students themselves, what are they thinking? So we decided to construct a survey. So the Academic Excellence Group put together some questions. They did a very, very thoughtful job of putting these questions together. Those questions then went to our academic department chairs who tweaked and revised them and improved them. And then those questions in turn were sent out to the entire staff for further checks and revisions. And then after that process, our kids took them. These are our 8th grade kids, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So in all, we had about 560, 570 kids who responded, which is pretty close to all of our 8th and 12th graders.
We did it in a CS class so that we had them captured. And yeah, that's part of what they needed to do. The seniors did it in senior sem, but we had
Yeah, I
a
was going to say, as they got older, the response rate went way down.
Yeah, well, we have a lot less kids.
Yeah.
But I think when the seniors, I think it's pretty close. Yeah,
I was wondering if there was like a field trip or something that day.
the 12th graders is only 119 of them, so we missed 18. That's
Yeah.
not too bad. Yeah. So we had a pretty good chunk of them, as we made it part of their assignment that day. But they really took it so seriously. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So that's right. Yeah, they took it very seriously. Very impressive. What we've provided you are the responses that our kids gave us to the first 13 questions, which were essentially multiple choice questions. So you see the results of the first 13 questions. There were also, and you can see these in the back, there were also open response questions. There were a series of open response questions about what kind of courses you would like to see, what are the characteristics of a good course, and they wrote volumes about their thoughts. I mean, they really did, and they were very, very thoughtful, reflective responses. What we thought would be really helpful, we are taking all of these results very, very seriously. And we are sharing them with everybody in our community. So last week, our department chairs looked at these, examined them today. We have a department chair meeting. We're going to be talking about some solutions, some things that we could do. We shared the results with our community council, which is a council that consists of parents, teachers, and administrators. We're sharing them with you. We shared them with the Board of Trustees. Next week, the Academic Excellence Group will be meeting again, and we'll be going over these results. So we really want to have a community-wide discussion about what our students are saying and what we can do about what our students are saying. So what we'd like to do is...
Can I have just one quick piece? Yeah. We're going to be having a summary made up of the results. So obviously, you don't have the results from each student for each question. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses. But what we're going to do is put together a small committee who will create a summary, and that summary will get sent out. So you'll eventually have the bar graphs and then a summary of what the students said when they answered the questions that you'll see on the back.
Right.
Yeah, the department chairs saw them unedited. The teachers will all see them. Some have. The rest will see them today. But we've taken out any kind of identifying information about a particular class or particular teacher or anything like that. That's where we are.
Awesome. So why don't we do this? Why don't we, there's 12 people. 12. So maybe we'll do 2 groups of 6?
Well, why don't you go with
3
4.
groups
Three
of
groups of 4.
3 groups of 4. Why don't we do that? 3 groups of 4. You can pair yourself however you like, but just 3 groups of 4 would be great.
Yeah.
And then we can each join one group.
Yeah.
Pretty good. What we'd like to do is take a few minutes, just look at the results of the first 13 questions. Look at them, think about them, and then in your group, if you could try to answer those 4 questions. What do you see from the results that please you? If there's anything that pleases you. What results surprise you and concern you? And then the third question there is, what questions would you like to know more about that you don't have answers to there? And then the last question is, based upon these results, what would you say we need to do? What are some solutions that we need to do? So, 4 questions, maybe we'll take about 20 minutes. If everybody has a chance to participate, talk, communicate, and Ms. Lindsay and Mr. Naraki and I will be joining each group. So we'll reconvene at about 9:10 or so.
Yeah.
And then we could all share our discussions. All right?
How we all doing today?
Good.
I've seen these. I know
I was going to say, I actually looked at the camera on there, so I actually thought you were on.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, actually, you know what, that's probably better.
How are you?
Yes,
Good,
I've
good.
got
Okay this morning?
So maybe if each table wants to just summarize some of the things that you talked about, some of the things that you like to see, some of the concerns that you had, and if you had some solutions, that would be great. So if we could have a volunteer from each table to summarize.
Notes. I mean, I could take some. You took notes.
I took notes. It's kind of weird for me.
Well, I think we were concerned about the 4 hours of homework. There was an answer on homework that we thought was really concerning. There were a lot of kids doing a lot of hours of homework. And we thought that might be reflective of maybe needing help with their homework as opposed to just having that much homework. Because, I mean, I think we had a little bit of a debate, but generally, you know, scientifically, you know, they've done studies and homework doesn't actually result in greater learning. A lot of it can be, you know, kind of busy work, so we want to make sure it's quality. We had some concern about the cheating answer. We didn't like that at all, although we did reassure ourselves that it may be that there are 10 people looking at one kid cheating and all recording it, so it sounds worse than it is.
I don't think so.
One good thing is that we were really happy with, are you happy at AMSA question. We thought that basically 60 to 80% of the kids were happy being a student at AMSA. So that was really good. We thought, what did I forget?
Seeking help.
Yeah, so the kids seeking help, we learned something, I learned something, that there is actually tutoring available for students. We liked that there was tutoring provided by fellow students. That was a pretty high percentage, 1/3 were getting help from someone else who was also a student at AMSA. And I guess in general, we were gratified by the fact that the academic teachers were providing a lot of assistance and the kids knew they could go visit and get help that way.
I also think we talked about 1/5 of the respondents talked about off-site or online tutoring as a resource. Thought that was a big percentage. And so just something maybe the teachers could put together a one-pager of here's the material I'm going to go over this year, and here's some good sites that you can go to for reference, especially those teachers that don't use the textbook to do their curriculum for the year.
Great, yes, thank you. So that was one of the solutions we mentioned. We also discussed how to promote a little bit more coordination in regard to homework and planning of homework for our students.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for summarizing. So maybe table 2, if you want to.
Everybody's looking at So, anyway, we talked about our concerns more than our pleased. I did see several things I personally was pleased with in here. One of the things that we talked about was maybe the lack of emotional and social support that we saw.
That's a concern.
As a concern. Yes, is one of the things we were concerned about from the survey results. And we talked about maybe educating teachers on maybe sometimes how they present things can cause anxiety in children and maybe students, not children. And that could be helpful. We discussed that a parent of a 6th grader talked about how her child doesn't really know anything about the upper school and what goes on there. It might be kind of fun to give them a little bit of an introduction to what their life at AMSA might be like through the years, and kind of present that. There was some talk about helping students in college planning.
More like counseling, like, the kids feel like, I feel like my son doesn't know much. He's still a 10th grader, so he's not thinking college yet, but just to, sort of help him understand what he really likes, so he knows what sort of classes to build up for 11th grade.
So you'd be taking classes to direct them in the area they want to go to. You mentioned something about that as well.
Not in terms of college planning. It's more of the amount of homework is overwhelming and sometimes just placing the test on a certain day could make, a problem.
Yes,
Creating more stress.
Did your table have similar concerns about the homework?
Yeah, well, she actually brought up a thing interesting, timing. Like if you have a test the day after Halloween,
Timing
then
and
kids
coordinating, yeah.
don't get any outside of school life if they have to spend Halloween studying.
Right.
So, just things like that. That timing for things might be an interesting thing to address.
Excellent, great, thank you. Were there any other thoughts, solutions, ideas? I know it's not a lot of time to like really digest it all and whatnot. Great, thank you. Table 3.
Okay, so one of the things that, in terms of the large participation overall in the survey, students challenging themselves with AP and honors classes, the number of that we saw as a positive, and then the majority of the students feeling inspired. I think one thing that's both a positive and a negative is in response to question 6, the fact that the teachers are readily available for the direct one-on-one help is so high, which is obviously a positive, but we were concerned about the impact for the teachers and what that really means. And we also talked about in-class learning versus at-home learning. The in-class seems to be, it conjures up better results. So we did see that. In terms of the surprising was the amount of cheating, and really we were asking ourselves what is causing the pressure to cheat, and is it internal, external, that sort of thing. And then in terms of what we'd like to see is we were talking about the self-reporting of grades versus the actual grades and how do they sort of correspond, and then also a subset of the AP honors and CP would also be great to see as well.
What do you mean a subset?
So basically the grades break down by honors,
Within that?
Yeah, within those 3 subsets.
Okay.
It would be interesting to just see that data. But we also understood that it'll be further down the road, so.
Right.
Yeah, there's a million different ways, right?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
We can manipulate this, and
Yeah.
it's all on this huge spreadsheet. And so
And put some of
initially,
those smart students to work.
can't let them see the
I know.
raw data. But so initially, we just pulled all the questions
Yeah.
and we went down through the grades, right?
Exactly.
So there's different ways that we can sort and look at cross sections. It took us really a couple weeks to absorb just the answer to those
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, thanks everybody for all the feedback. So this is really the first time that we've done this at AMSA to really try to get some feedback from our kids. Personally, I think it's great, and I hope we continue to do it each year to hear what our kids are saying. I think it's really, really valuable. Just so you kind of know some of the steps ahead. So what we're doing this month is really looking at all the data that we have, including the open response questions, which you don't see, and really trying to come to agreement on what we all see, because there's always different interpretations of the data. At our table, we were discussing whether kids are happy. I was really concerned by that because I want 100% of our kids to be happy.
We were like,
that was
keeping in mind that they are teenagers, so,
right. So that, and then,
yeah, exactly.
and I think about my own 8th grader, Churchill, who is not happy going to school. So I have to be realistic, but of course, Ellen and I want 100% of our kids to be happy. So we're going to try to come to consensus over what we see and what are the key takeaways from all the data, including the open response questions. And then once we have that, and we all agree on some of the core things that we see, then to really address some solutions that can be put into place to support our kids, to enrich their academic experience. So what will be done over the next few weeks, you'll see, as Ellen mentioned earlier, a report will be written that summarizes this and that summarizes the open response questions. That'll probably be sometime in January. That will be sent out to everybody. And then the next stage will be coming up with solutions, which we've already started thinking about. In the meantime, if when you see the report, when you're thinking about these questions, when you're talking to your own kids, please do. You don't have to wait for Family Forum. Our doors are always open. There are no doors. There are no walls. Always come and just give us feedback. The more feedback we have, the better. Your voice is really important to us. Come talk to us. We can sit down. We can talk. You can email us, whatever works for you, so that we really have a community-wide discussion about the needs of our kids and how we help address their concerns. Yes.
I have a quick comment, especially during the holidays, like Christmas coming up. I was hoping that teachers can be told sort of not to give too much homework or hardly any homework. We always survey during the holidays. It's tough for the kids to micro, especially to love all their books and things. When we're meeting family and friends, it should be a time just to sort of not focus on other stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think that's very important, the ability to relax over the break. I know in some classes, some AP classes, the demands of the class warrant a bit of work over the break. It is almost a two-week break. So I know some AP teachers will.
So one or two classes would be fine, I think.
Right.
But if she has all of them, especially 11th grade, she has to start more for SATs to try to break as well. Prioritize stuff and family. So it's going to be tough to juggle like all her 9 classes.
Right.
If she has all in each class.
Right.
Something I think that we've tossed around when we were talking in the office about the demands during breaks in particular, and it's definitely something we'll be getting feedback from the department chairs on, something we want to consult with them about and get their feedback and their thoughts on that.
Or even before break, she would be fine with overworking or like putting more energy into doing more work prior to breaks. So she'll have more time to be kind of free-ish like during holidays and vacations.
What grade is your daughter?
8th and 11th.
8th and 11th. Thank you. So it's 9:30. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for your feedback. The next Family Forum is in February, early February, but certainly in the meantime, please come and email us, come talk to us, come say hi. We appreciate everything you guys do.